For one problem, there is an infinite number of solutions.
Yep.
So this idea that somebody's gonna walk up to me and be like, which side are you on? I'm like,
what do you mean?
but it's like asking me, am I like a tits or ass man? I'm like, both. I don't know.
Yeah.
And legs and teeth and fucking, I don't know.
Is she hot?
Is she hot?
Yeah.
We're doing it again.
Another one, dude.
Another one.
About to get my reality fucked up again, maybe, or I fuck yours up.
Okay, so we actually, this I can say with all sincerity, we actually had someone ask us to continue talking about conspiracy theories.
Good.
So it's like, the people want it.
Was it because I got my reality fucked up, or they just...
I don't know.
They just like to see us argue.
I think that there's just like a couple topics that they were like, oh, that I would hear more about.
Yep.
So let's talk about that thing. So, obviously it's in the news. We're going to talk about the LA wildfires. Mm-hmm. And then if it goes on to other weird tangents, I don't know, fuck it.
Yeah.
See what happens. All right,
well,
so...
Go ahead, yeah.
But we were actually having this conversation, and it randomly came up the other day about the wildfires.
Yes.
So I want to first, I'm going to put the ball in your court. I'm going to give it over to you.
Okay.
What is, I mean, on the steep end, what is the big kooky conspiracy that, like, this is the eye in the sky planning something? What is the big cabal?
The big cabal, they're trying to make 15-minute cities. So, you know, one city that you can basically get to anything and everything you would need. But the only way that you could do that is by rebuilding the whole thing from the ground up.
Okay.
So, if we look at what happened in Maui, whatever that was, a year or two ago, and then what's happening in California,
do conspiracy theorists throw Tampa and the hurricane in that too?
Well, I think that's just weather manipulation in total.
But I'm saying, is that underneath their umbrella of, like, destroying shit so that way they can rebuild stuff?
To be honest with you, I couldn't answer that confidently, but what I could answer is that both Maui and LA had this, what would you call it, like a city rebuild plan in like a conference months before the fire coincidentally broke out. So that's where the conspiracy starts at, and then as you kind of go down the rabbit hole, you know, we were talking yesterday or the day before,
whatever it was, yeah.
The coincidence that the LA Fire Department, their water reserves were completely depleted, that Gavin Newsom had diverted water to protect wildlife, rather than obviously protecting humans. And then at the end of it all, we were seeing people deliberately setting fires with like flamethrowers or like, you know, what do you call them, like the blow torches or whatever. Which, you know, your argument to that the other day was like, well, those are just homeless people.
No, those are just crazy people.
But how do we have like 40 or 50 arrests? Yeah, you know, and like they weren't arresting homeless people or drug addicts. You could steal $950 out in LA and whatever, go ahead. But so my biggest thing is when we look at these, you know, specifically Maui and Los Angeles right now, and you know, definitely, you know, our hearts go out to those families. Like, you can't control any of that, and all these people are completely displaced. And what we now know is that they're probably not going to get their homes back or be able to be insured because of everything that State Farm and all these other insurance agencies pretty much forced to do by the California government by some of those laws that they had put out. So it's just all of those things kind of add up, and you look at this fire that just broke out. You know, it's you look at it.
Seems suspect.
Okay.
So I always feel like, and especially when we talk, I have to like restate the place I come from, which is most of the time when people talk about these conspiracy things, right? There's like a left side and a right side. There's like, the right side is like anti-establishment and like doesn't trust the government and like, you know, none of this or whatever. And then the left side is like pro whoever is like the liberal person in policy.
Right.
That, generally speaking.
Yep.
That's kind of like...
No, for sure. Which I think is funny now that the right, you know, we're seen as like anti-establishment, which 40, 50 years ago was like the opposite. Yeah.
Okay, so my take here is that like, because I don't want anybody putting me into a category, is that I genuinely, I say this to you, like, I don't even believe in the dichotomy of like conservatives and liberals.
Right.
Like, I think a lot of times we forget this, is that if you were just born into a system where there was like two parties, like you join one of the parties.
Right. We've talked about that too with my uncle who's in Germany, where there's like 13
More
different parties and
But even more so than being parties, is like there's one of the reasons I like business is that, I mean, how many different supplement companies are there? You know, thousands.
Yeah.
And they all do it completely. Like, for one problem, there is an infinite number of solutions.
Yep.
So this idea that somebody's gonna walk up to me and be like, "Which side are you on?" I'm like,
what do you mean?
but it's like asking me, "Am I like a tits or ass man?" I'm like, both. I don't know. And legs and teeth and fucking. I don't know.
Is she hot?
Is she hot?
Yeah.
I'm into like. I don't know. Don't give me this.
Yeah.
You know, I have to choose
black or white.
Yeah. Thing. It's like I just don't do that.
Well, that's what you've taught me recently too, where it's like these things I would have been 2 years ago. It's no, it's this. It's definitely this. So that's why I hope this show brings to other people is our dialogue going back and forth on these coincidental subjects or issues. That we can expand the thought process around how we come to our conclusions.
So then about the LA wildfire thing, things that you were talking about.
Yeah.
I know that you can just go online and you can just research and do a little stuff.
Yeah.
And the first things that I saw that I was like, okay, this is gonna be another one of those things where I don't actually think that people are lying. I think that there are some people that get bad information and they misrepresent information. And then, because that information is inaccurate, other people look up the information and they call them a liar. And as soon as they're called a liar, they're like, "You're a liar," and you just end up.
We're not even talking about the issue.
We're not talking about the thing, right? So here's some just quick facts that I did research is that the budget was brought down by $15 million for the wildfire.
You got me on this one the other day. Yeah.
It's like the budget was brought down by $15 million. But in the last couple, I don't know what it was, like 5 years, it had been raised to $800 million for the Southern California Fire Department. So they're actually spending way more money. They've hired more people in the fire department, and they have more resources. Just like anything, is there's like anybody who runs a business, or if you have your own home, you have a budget and a balance. Like if something is varied by 10 or 15% in a year. Like that just happens. Like budgets kind of change a little bit. Like, hey, we're going to spend a little bit more because we want to go on this trip or we want to do this thing. And so to say like, oh, it's cut by 15, it's like, yeah, but of 800 million.
You're talking about 2%.
Well, it's not 2%. It's 20%. But still. But yes, but that's not a crazy amount. It's not like, oh, they just slashed the budget.
Yeah.
It's like, no, they increased the budget.
Was it 800 million or 8 million? Or
800 million.
Yeah, so a percent of that would be 8 million. So it'd be 2%. They only cut the budget by.
Oh, you're right.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So a very small proportion.
Right.
2, 3, whatever percent. So, that's like, when you say that, it may be right that they cut the budget.
Yeah.
But in the total of the last, since, these people have been in power or whatever, well, they've increased the budget. Right. So that's not, it's not a fair argument.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that doesn't work. Then there was the thing about the water supply.
Yep.
Which was they said that they pushed the water into the ocean or whatever, right?
Something like that. Yeah. There was the.
This year's Winter Warrior is going to be at Harley-Davidson of North Scottsdale. The Winter Warrior is our charity to commemorate Mitch Winters, who took his own life in 2021. Mitch was a Marine veteran and Arizona police officer. What we do is put on a full day of fitness and community building. All of the money from this event goes to one local veteran family who we can completely change their life. The entrance to this event is a Winter Warrior shirt, and the cost is as much as you can donate. So it is completely a donation-based event. We just ask that you donate the money, get the shirt, and invite a friend to come with you. For more information, click the link in the bio, sign up, and meet us out here.
The fire hydrants weren't working, and they said that they depleted those fire hydrant water storage facilities, right? And then there was another water, basically way that they're bringing the water in, that Gavin Newsom had basically said no, we're gonna save some krill or some sort of fish that some wildlife,
some dumb thing.
some dumb thing. and then didn't put the water into the people's hands.
So then there's this is that their water reserves right now, because they have like a capacity. Like in Arizona last year, we were really dry, and then we had a really good winter, and we're back up from where we were. But in LA, they're at 120% of their water capacity. So
the amount of people?
Water that they have.
Got it.
So they're not out of water. They
Right.
didn't get rid of water. This whole thing that like they ran out of water or that they misused water or they did is just not true. They've got full capacity of water. So there's no issue of but it's just one of those things that like you could probably find some little pinpoint that like, I don't know, a fucking faucet didn't work.
Right.
But it's like, it doesn't mean that LA County or the water just didn't work.
Right.
They were way over, especially what they've had for the last couple of years.
Right, which we know that they were trying to steal water from us over here in Arizona, a couple years ago.
So anyway, there's another thing. It's like, okay, well then that's not
Right.
true, right? And then there was this other one that I thought was really interesting about how one of the areas didn't have water to use on the LA homes.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was the actual firefighters, they have, in LA, they have above ground electrical, right? So it's like the wire of getting electricity is above ground. We've all seen that.
Yeah.
Right? Well, the winds were going so high and there's fire everywhere that the fire department decided like we're going to shut that electricity off because if those poles fall over, it's going to create more wildfires.
Yeah.
And when they did that, when you say there's like water and there's different little areas where, and each area has its own water tank that it uses, and it has to be pressurized. Obviously, if it's water, it's got to keep pressure in it so water can get out of it.
Yeah.
Well, then it didn't have pressure anymore because there was no electricity to it. But that was like a call by an actual fire department that's like, both are bad solutions.
Yeah.
Have water but start more fires by an electrical fire, or don't have water and start less fires. It's kind of a catch-22. Like, what do you do? And whatever way they would have picked, somebody would be like, you motherfuckers, I can't believe you.
And then the other side's like, no, you're lying.
Yeah, exactly.
So we get back to the same.
So then this is what I mean. This is my conversation continuously. It's like, if you take a big step far back, and I'm going to use you as an analogy.
Yeah.
Because it's like, when you step far back and you're like, they fucking cut the water, they cut the fire department budget, they didn't have any water, they diverted it to feed krill, fucking this and that. Those are like these big accusations.
Yep.
But then when you get into the details of it, like anything, you're like, oh, well, it actually wasn't that. It was this. And then, well, the reason they did this is like because of this. Like every time you get into the details, it always kind of like flushes itself out and it's like, oh, there is no conspiracy. It's just that when you get a normal person, like somebody watching this, that you can't know everything. Like you weren't there, you didn't work on the fires, you don't know what's going on with the water, you don't know the policy. It's just like if somebody came into our business and was like, hey guys, you are all fucking idiots, this is how you do it. You'd be like, what? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like you don't know what we do, you don't know how it works, you don't know how it goes, and so there's no way that you could just know all the answers and be like, oh, you guys are idiots.
Yes. Very true.
So that is why even before I know facts and details, when I hear something like tragedy, someone's to blame, there's a conspiracy, I'm like, nah, I
already know it's.
I know it's not. I know it's not. Like I know that people might have made mistakes. There might be now, and again, this so
incompetence. Is not a conspiracy.
No.
Yeah.
And so right now, I'm standing around sounding like I'm defending them. For anybody who knows, I've talked about this a lot. I hate California and hate LA more than any fucking person ever. I had a trip there just a little while ago, and like went there. Got my windows broken out, got all my shit stolen, got my gun stolen. The fucking cops wouldn't come and help anything. They were like, get fucked, go deal with yourself. There's trash everywhere. The city is disgusting. I think that place is a cesspool and we need to just like fire everybody, restart, and do it all again.
Yes.
So I'm not on their side.
You're not over here like, LA government's great. Gavin Newsom's awesome. Yeah.
No, get out. But what I'm not a fan of is like making up bullshit.
Yes.
Right. If you're gonna fire somebody, like fire them because their fucking homeless numbers are insane. Their tax budget is fucking ridiculous. Their policies to actually help people earn a living income is ridiculous. Like things that are actually bad that they're bad at.
Yes.
That's enough. Like we don't need to make up fairy tales to go along with it.
Well, and then that's, to just even the taxes point, right? Like that California, their citizens are the highest tax out of anyone else in our country.
Yeah.
And there's not enough, like we're not prepared for this.
Yeah.
How is that,
and I don't even blame them for being like the highest tax place. It's like, it's expensive to live there. There's a lot of people that live there.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
No, my friends that live there, they call it the
if
California tax, right?
Yeah, if you're gonna tax higher, then yeah, you gotta have dope shit. You gotta have things organized and working correctly. But it just never really works like that. But that's also why we're seeing such an influx in people, because we're a more conservative state.
Right.
So, okay, we talked about all that. But then there's this other thing, right, about creating this new city.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
This is where I'm like, guys, you gotta know how dumb that sounds.
Oh, hold on. What happened to, what was it, the Chicago Fair? Do we remember those photos? Mm-hmm. What happened to all that beautiful architecture?
I don't know where you're getting at here. I don't know.
Well, so the conspiracy around that is
Yeah.
that this exact thing that's happened in Maui, happened in California, happened in Florida. This has all happened before, 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So there were these big world fairs in our big cities, New York, LA, Chicago. And if you look at it, it was like a very Victorian style.
They're gorgeous cities.
Gorgeous cities.
Yeah.
Well, they're gone now. So like the whole conspiracy is that like we just built on top of it, and it happened because of some crazy disaster that was put in place. So a lot of the conspiracy theories are that that's just this happening again 100 years later. And that we have to be a little bit more forthcoming with that information, so we disguise it around these new city conferences.
I just think again, like, okay, so it's really St. Louis, where I'm from, is famous for this. St. Louis had a huge. St. Louis is where the 1904 World's Fair was.
Okay.
So St. Louis was a world city. It was like, it was on the Mississippi. It's the largest river in the U.S. It was massive. And there was a fire, and it fucking burnt it all down.
So who started the fire?
Well, this is what I mean. Like, let's also go back. Like, fires in cities where they were built before we had modern infrastructure just burnt down more. We didn't have laws about how to do it. There's actually a very specific case. There was one fire, so a hotel building fire, that was in, I want to say in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
And after that fire was, and this was like in the 30s. And I'll actually look this up and put it on the thing on there, on the comments. After that fire, they were like, oh, we can't build buildings like this anymore.
Oh, so the way the architecture was actually built.
Yeah, like how we're building the insides, what code is, and like, because this was a fire where it was like a hotel building, and like everyone died. Like no one made it out. A couple hundred people. It was really bad.
Wow.
Like destroyed, but it was just one building. But anyway, like to me, it's like, yeah, do you think that if you lived in a cottage in the 1800s, it's going to stand up better than this house right here?
Right,
like,
right.
What do you mean? Yeah, a fucking course.
Yes.
Now, the other side is like to want to make a new city, right? Do you know what California is fucking full of?
What?
Really pristine, beautiful area full of nothing to build new cities.
So why not? Why wouldn't they just build there? Why did this conference have to take place in L.A.?
Well,
Or Maui, right?
What I'm saying is that to build a new city and do this thing or whatever, there's two ways to look at it. It's like if the point was they wanted to build a new city, it would be cheaper for them to not burn something down and just go build it somewhere else.
But when you have the Olympics there that are coming up, we have I think they have.
What I'm saying is that would still be cheaper to just build it next to it.
Right, but BlackRock. BlackRock wants to come in, man. They want to buy up all those plots.
It just doesn't, like, a lot of the things, if you think about it, like on a very fundamental level, it doesn't make sense. And when I say make sense, it's like, just always think about, like, what's the easiest thing for people to do?
In like what? Oh, make up stories that connect whatever their hypothesis is.
Like, what's easier, making up some weird fucking story about how all this got done, or diving into the intricate facts and knowing each detail and going and seeing? Yeah,
first, this was you and I's argument for the past 2 years.
So it's like making up conspiracy theories is just. I'm gonna piss a lot of people off by saying it, but it's like it's just for dumb people. It's for people that like fucking stupid movies.
Ignorance is bliss, though, James.
But it's like, and you just think about like, do you want to know hard facts and dive into things and really get in the weeds, or make believe? Like, make believe is always gonna be easier. Now that doesn't mean that every conspiracy theory is fake.
Yes,
there are some that have come true. But again, like, why not think in that way and just like get into the facts of what happened? That's what.
Because you might die.
Okay, we're gonna end, but I will give this. This is the thing we were talking about. Is there was these group of people. And they were making a show about the conspiracy of the.
We're going way off.
I told you about it.
Yes.
About the Holocaust.
Yes, they were Holocaust deniers.
They're Holocaust deniers, and they said it didn't happen.
Yes.
And their point was they went to this place. They went to a gas chamber, and at the gas chamber, they showed how the door had no locking mechanism. Like, it just swung back and open, and they're like, this isn't a gas chamber, this is for something else. Like, that's not what this is.
Yes.
Because if you can't lock it from the outside, the inside, or whatever, people just walk right out. Right. And they were right. The door on the chamber closes, but there's no locking mechanism. Like, it just wasn't there. And so they're like, look, we're right! Ah!
They produced the movie, they put it out,
put all this shit out. And then, like, immediately, this guy in a town, like, next door is like, oh, I got the door. We took it off a couple years ago.
And they exchanged it?
Yeah, because he just thought it would be a cool, like, memento to have.
Right.
And so when they put it fits in right, it matches the metal, and it's like a door that locks in it perfectly.
Yes.
Because, of course, after the war, and you got this dilapidated building sitting there, some jack-off down the road is like, it's like somebody who steals a stop sign. Like, oh, I want one of those. Like, yeah, duh.
Yes.
Like, you fucking course.
Yes.
But you turned some idiot stealing some stuff into
the
Jews
Holocaust.
didn't die.
Yes.
Like,
the whole Holocaust never happened.
That's a far fucking swing.
Yeah. But on our next show, we will be talking about direct energy weapons.
Direct energy weapons. All right, cool. Thanks, man.
Oh, yeah.
Boom.